that's much better. Yeah, yeah. It's really, I can
Okay,
see you much better then. Yeah.
great. Um, okay, so the first
Background.
question is it's a little bit to get to know you as well, so
Mhm.
people, understand who you are. And so the first question is, when and where did you first start learning about macrobiotics?
Well, I was 24 years old and I was in London, and I was teaching biology, really interested in health and how the body works. And um, me and my girlfriend were going to meet one of my male friends for a pub lunch and a walk in the countryside. And he brought his girlfriend, and I had my usual cheese ploughmans, and we went to sit in the garden. And the friend's girlfriend brought out her lunchbox, with some rice and aduki beans and salad and things in, and started telling us a bit about macrobiotics. I wish I could remember her name now. I feel very grateful to her. And she said, Michio Kushi, who was a really big teacher of macrobiotics, was going to be giving a talk in a couple of weeks in London. So I decided to go. And I was just really impressed with his talk. He was using yin and yang to really explain, and energy to really explain why people develop certain kinds of illnesses and different kinds of cancers and heart problems and all kinds of different problems. And it just made so much sense to me, that I just felt, okay, yeah, I really want to study this. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Wow,
what
interesting.
got me started. Yeah.
Cool. I didn't know that story. Um, and what does the term microbiotics actually mean? Where does it come from?
Well, macrobiotics started in Japan, so it has a bit of a Japanese flavor, and it was started by a man called George Osawa, and really using a lot of traditional wisdom about life, health, um, how to keep ourselves well, how to heal certain health problems from Japan. He, in the 1930s, and then again in the 1950s, 60s, he came to Europe and America, and he was looking for a name to call his teaching, and he was very well read, and he read that the Greeks had a kind of teaching called macrobios, which means large life, which was based on eating simply and in a balanced, healthy way, and sometimes fasting and exercising and breathing and so on. And so he thought, okay, well, I'll nick that name and call it macrobiotics. So that's where the name came from.
Nice. Okay. And how did your own health change since you transitioned to a macrobiotic lifestyle?
Um, well, a few interesting things happened in the first year. Um, so one good thing that happened was I was 24. I was beginning to get short-sighted. So in the cinema, I had to sit really at the front. Otherwise,
Mhm.
if I sat further back, the screen was blurred.
Yeah.
And um, that had just recently developed. And then as I started eating macrobiotically, gradually my eyesight started changing.
Okay.
And what I noticed was if I ate more what in macrobiotics we'd call more yin foods, such as eating a lot of fruit or desserts or alcohol or coffee, my eyesight would get worse again. So became quite strict with myself and didn't eat much of those foods, and just ate lots of soups and grains and beans and nice veg dishes. And over about 6 9 months, my eyesight actually became normal, and so that was quite impressive. It's not that macrobiotics will correct every eye problem, but it definitely worked for me.
Right.
I'm really, really grateful because I still don't wear glasses. I'm going to be
Yeah.
68 next month.
Yeah.
I'm so
Wow.
pleased, so
Yeah. It's
pleased that
amazing.
I don't have to wear glasses.
Yeah.
So that was one really, 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 really impressive thing
Powerful.
for me.
Yeah.
Something else was that when I got into macrobiotics for the previous 2 years, I'd been vegetarian, and I ate a lot of cheese. Every week I'd go and buy a big block of cheese on toast, cauliflower cheese,
Yeah.
cheese sandwiches, everything cheese. That was my favorite food, was cheese.
Yeah.
And so when I stopped eating dairy foods, and my body naturally wanted to start cleansing, I got into macrobiotics in about August, and then September I started pouring out all this mucus. I didn't have an infection, my body was just discharging, and then all October, all November, and into December, my body was just pouring out all this mucus, because of course cheese and dairy foods are very mucus forming.
Yeah.
But when we keep eating them, often we just suppress the body's natural wanting to discharge this excess.
Yeah.
And then when you stop, then the body goes into cleansing mode.
Yeah. Right.
So that was quite dramatic.
Yeah. Okay, those were the two main things.
Sorry.
Those were the two main things.
Yeah. Well, something else that meant a lot to me was I started becoming much more aware of energy, and energy in my body, and feeling energy, and energy in plants and trees and people, and really feeling energy. And that was really exciting for me, because Macrobiotics was talking a lot about the whole Oriental way of looking at things. Not only is there a physical world, but there's a much bigger energy world, and our body's working on energy, going through different organs and meridians and chakras. So I really started feeling energy much more clearly, and I went around kind of feeling trees and plants, and
Yeah.
so that was really exciting. It felt like it opened up a whole new world to me.
Okay. And so obviously energy is one of the guiding principles, I guess, in macrobiotics. Do you want to speak a little bit about that, and maybe some of the other main principles that are part of macrobiotics?
Yeah, sure. So I think a lot of traditions around the world understand that there's life energy which is flowing through us and all of nature. And in China it's called qi, and in India it's called prana, and in Japan it's called ki. So we tend to use ki in macrobiotics. And our modern Western culture is very scientific and very physically based, and doesn't really, hasn't yet found a way of measuring or looking at this ki. But most traditional cultures, are aware of it and use it to heal and help the health, or help heal health problems. Things like acupuncture. Homeopathy works energetically. Hands-on healing, qigong, tai chi, shiatsu, acupuncture. All these things are working more on the qi flow in the body.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to start looking at life and health in terms of energy, as well as the physical body.
Yeah.
And the world of energy is much bigger than in the physical world. And with health, it's just so useful in with our health, because things often change energetically before we get physical symptoms. So we may get through our diet, lifestyle, maybe our lung energy starts getting low, and then we may see some signs, in the face. The cheeks may become kind of redder or more puffy or spotty, and the energy in our lung meridian, which starts here and comes down to the thumb, may become low. We may get some aching in the thumb, or if you can feel ki, you can just feel that the lung energy is low. If that goes on, then we may start developing lung or respiratory problems, maybe asthma, hay fever, or we become more prone to picking up infections from weaker immunity. So when we feel this, okay, my lung energy is getting out of balance. Okay, well, let's think about why that is. Have I been eating too many sweet foods and strong yin foods? Too much caffeine or alcohol, or certain more yin foods which weaken the lung energy. Maybe I need to do more exercise, do more deep breathing, do some deep breathing exercises, do things to strengthen my lungs. maybe do some dough-in exercise, which we teach on our courses, and some shiatsu or acupuncture. And then we bring our lung energy back into balance, and then we avoid getting those all those kinds of problems. Or if we do develop a lung problem, then we can work on the energy here, and we can also choose certain foods which particularly support the lungs to heal hay fever, bronchitis, and asthma, getting frequent infections, lowered immunity, and things like that.
So
yeah, it just allows us to really understand more deeply what's going on and really read the signs that we're getting imbalanced.
So it's a holistic system that includes the energy balance of the meridians and their organ systems.
Yes. So, and really the whole system is based on is looking at balance. We can become too hot, we can become too cold, we can become too tense, we can become too weak. It's good to be active, but we can become overactive and then exhaust ourselves, or we can be underactive. So, in terms of our food, in macrobiotics, we see the more dense, rich, heating foods, especially like meat, chicken, eggs, cheese, much more mildly fish, shellfish, have a more yang effect, more heating. But if we overdo them, they create a lot of tension. They're overly rich, so they cause accumulation in the body, and that leads on to cysts and lumps and skin problems and so on. And on the other end of the scale, we have more strong yin foods, which are more stimulating or take energy out of the body: sugar, caffeine, really hot spices, alcohol, honey, and things like that. Recreational drugs, which first stimulate us, but then in the long term weaken us.
Yeah.
So if we bounce between those extreme foods, then it's really detrimental to the body. Whereas the central principle of macrobiotic eating is we eat the more balanced foods, more gently warming, like grains and beans and root vegetables and soups, and also some gently cooling and help our energy come out, and express ourselves and feel joy. Like eating green vegetables and lighter grains and fruits, and using some oil and maybe some plant milks and these kind of lighter foods in our diet. So we go for a balance between them. So this is different to in the West, where people tend to think of foods as being good or bad. So if you think about fruit, most people think, well, fruit's healthy, and therefore the more fruit you eat, the more healthy you're going to be.
Right.
But it's a matter of balance, because fruit is soft and watery and cooling to the body. So eating a little fruit is generally healthy.
Yeah.
But if we ate too much, then it can make people cold and weaker. And also, there's a lot of fruit sugar in fruit, and that could create some inflammation in the body. It can make rheumatoid arthritis worse. It can make asthma or hay fever worse.
Yeah.
So there's no good or bad food. It's just how much of it do we eat to really be in balance. So, so a different way of thinking to the kind of Western way of thinking about food. So balance is really important.
Right. And so I'm curious, when and why did you decide to create the International Macrobiotic School in the UK?
Oh, okay, that's a good question. Well, I was already teaching, and I really liked teaching. And then I discovered macrobiotics, and this was in 1980 when Western science and medicine was saying that there's no connection between food and health. It wasn't until the kind of mid-1980s that research came out that if we eat a lot of animal fats, we tend to get more heart disease. So it seems unbelievable these days because there's so much information about the connection between food and health and illness. Macrobiotics just had such an eloquent and really in-depth understanding of health and food, and I really wanted to study it for myself, and I just felt, the world really needs to know this stuff. It really needs to know how well we can look after our health through our daily food and exercise and creating balance in our lifestyle. And I just felt people really need to know this. So I really wanted to start teaching it and telling as many people as possible. And I'm still doing that now.
Yeah. A long time later, so that's good.
Yeah.
And what kind of health, well, you've mentioned already a little bit in the beginning, but what other kind of health issues can be helped with macrobiotics? Can you give maybe another example, one or two examples, where you've had cases where the person has experienced major improvements with their health using macrobiotic principles?
Yeah, okay. I mean, there's a lot of different things I could talk about. One is, there's certain kind of what we might call more yang problems created by more tension in the body, tension or excess heat in the body. So, for example, most severe headaches and migraines are associated with a lot of tension in the body. Some headaches have a different cause, but most of the ones behind the eyes, the sides of the head, tension in the neck. And this is actually happening on the gallbladder and the liver meridians. This is all the liver meridian, the gallbladder meridian around here, and the liver meridian comes to the eyes. So getting pain behind the eyes, in the temples, this part of the head, very stiff, painful neck, shoulders, etc. This is all coming from tension being held in the liver and the gallbladder. So it's tension being held here. And this is where looking at things in quite simple terms of yin and yang, tension, weakness, can often reveal the causes of problems and how we can remedy them. It amazes me how Western medicine is so good at understanding and helping certain problems, and yet they don't understand the cause of 95% of headaches and migraines. It's just unbelievable. How can they not understand?
They're not looking for the cause.
They're not looking for the cause, and also they're not thinking holistically. So a headache is a head problem, whereas in Oriental medicine, we say, well, what's happening in the head depends on what's happening in the body. And because they're very connected, all our parts of the body are connected.
Yeah.
So when we build up a lot of tension in our liver and gallbladder, which could be from eating a lot of heavy, dense foods, a lot of animal foods, salt, meat, eggs, etc., not eating enough fresh vegetables and fruits and light foods and sour foods that help the liver to relax. Or if we're really pushing ourselves very hard in our life, or we're under a lot of stress, we build up a lot of tension in liver, gallbladder. Or if we're really suppressing a lot of emotions, especially a lot of frustration, suppressing our creativity, our life energy, and also that creates a lot of tension and heat in our liver and gallbladder. And at some point it has to come out, and one of the ways it goes is up to the head. So I've helped a lot of people with severe headaches and migraines gradually get out of those. Similar thing for a lot of women who are having very heavy, painful periods, debilitating periods. Again, too much tension in the liver, lower abdomen, and that's something which eating lighter foods, trying to be less busy, take some of the stress out of life, bring more fun, lightness, can really help the cycle come more into balance. And become much less disruptive when the period comes, or before with premenstrual tension. So there are those kind of tension type problems. And then the opposite is what we'd call more yin problems, like deficiency problems. A lot of people suffering from deep tiredness and exhaustion, or it goes further, suffering from chronic fatigue, where people are really debilitated with lack of energy and often brain fog and aching muscles if they overexert themselves, etc. So this is happening because there's a deficiency, a lack of energy in the body, which you can't measure in physical terms. So Western medicine hasn't really understood what's going on. It does usually recognize it now, but it doesn't know what to do about it. So in macrobiotics, we understand there's a big energy deficiency. So we need to rebuild a person's energy, really building foods, whole grains, bean stews, rich soups, maybe some fish, shellfish, really warm foods, root vegetables, etc., to build a person's energy. Rest, gentle exercises, breathing exercises to get more energy in the body, sorting out any kind of emotional blocks, etc. And I've helped quite a lot of people rebuild and gradually get out of that chronic fatigue situation.
Okay. Yeah.
So those are kind of few examples. Hay fever. A lot of people, this is hay fever season. 10% of the UK population get hay fever, which is happening again. It's more from a more yin problem, more expansion and weakness in the mucous membrane inside the nose. So it's swollen and the pollen and is irritating. And then people get the hay fever symptoms, swelling up mucus, eyes, etc. Generally, people can heal that over 1 or 2 years by avoiding those strong yin foods, sugary, tropical fruits, caffeine, etc., and eating a more plant-based diet.
It's definitely more of a long-term solution, a lifestyle solution.
Yes, and that's what we're looking for in macrobiotics, to empower people to be able to take, to really look after their own health. With most health problems, actually, we can help ourselves. Some more serious ones, we really need Western medicine. But an awful lot of health problems, which often Western medicine is not very good at helping, like headaches, migraines, period problems, hay fever. Making dietary lifestyle changes, sometimes doing some emotional healing, can really, really help. And it's within our power to do that.
Yeah.
So it's very, macrobiotics is very empowering.
Right.
It takes a lot of fear out of life. We can have a lot of control over our health, which is just great.
Yeah, I like that. And so do you have to be vegan to be macrobiotic? Can regular people ever use these principles as well?
Yeah. It's not a kind of, macrobiotics isn't an absolute diet. Like, you have to eat these foods and you must never touch these, because it's all about creating more balance in the body. So every step that people take towards eating what we would call more balanced foods, like whole grains, beans, lentils, nice fresh vegetables, organic if possible, but it's not essential. Fruits, seeds, nuts, making soups and dishes, making nice desserts, out of these kind of foods, is going to really experience improvements in their health.
Yeah.
And at the same time, if they can cut down on meat and eggs and cheese and those more kind of fatty, dense yang foods, and also really cut down on sugar, and a bit of alcohol can be fine for the health, but drinking a lot of alcohol, caffeine, etc., which really weaken the body, people are really going to experience better health. Your question about veganism, I think most people into macrobiotics include, it's basically plant-based. 95% of the food is grains, beans, plant-based, but people usually eat a little fish or shellfish, or some people that really don't want to eat fish may eat eggs occasionally. because those animal foods are more kind of concentrated and really bring stronger energy into the body. Some people choose to do vegan macrobiotics, which you can do, and actually, if you want to be vegan, it is really, really helpful to understand this idea of balance, because a lot of people eat a vegan diet but get a lot of health problems, and it's easy for vegans to become too kind of cold and weak, after a period of time. So if we create balance, macrobiotics, we're making a lot of warming, energizing foods, whole grains, bean stews, broth soups, etc., to keep people strong when they're eating in a more vegan.
Yeah. And I know we spoke about this kind of a little bit before, but aside from dietary recommendations, what can a person expect during a macrobiotic health consultation with you or with one of the students?
Yeah, good question. So we tend to use food a lot because, food is such a healer and such a good way of maintaining our health. I think exercise is really important in our life. Lots of different forms of exercise. It's good to find the kind of the exercise that you particularly enjoy. But exercise systems, like yoga, we teach Douyin, which is working on the meridians, Tai Chi, Qigong, etc. are quite good to practice those kind of systems because they're working on the whole body.
Yeah.
Rather, if we're doing a sport or something, we may just be using certain muscles and not using other parts of the body. Yeah. So incorporating exercise into our life is important. And we can use very specific exercises to help certain health problems. Breathing, especially breathing with the abdomen as well as the chest, is very essential for health. Creating a more balanced lifestyle, having a balance between work and activity and rest and play, time with people, time on our own, getting a good amount of sleep, a lot of other kind of important lifestyle factors. Emotionally, sometimes if we're holding a lot of emotions, a lot of fear or anger or sadness, this can have a really big effect on how we feel emotionally and psychologically, but also can have a really big effect on the body over time as well. So then it's important to have ways of feeling those emotions and releasing them, and releasing the fear or the anger or the frustration or whatever it is, and maybe going back and finding out when they started, and finding ways of releasing them from the body, because they can cause a lot of tension or a lot of blockage in the body. And on a more kind of deeper level, a more kind of soul level, a lot of people have the understanding that we've been given this amazing life, and we're on our kind of life path. And if we go deeply into ourselves, actually, there's certain things that we want to do and experience, and it's important to follow our kind of inner voice. If we're really off track, we've got lost, we're kind of doing the things which society expects or our parents told us to do, or we can become deeply unhappy because we're not doing what we really want to do and what is really going to make us happy. And it's also going to mean that we're doing the things which are going to benefit other people in the world more. So helping people tune into, well, really, what do you want to be doing in your life? And what's this life about for you? And what direction do you want to be going in now? Sometimes that makes a really big difference to people.
Yeah.
And people can be quite stuck and find it difficult to make lifestyle dietary changes until they're really in touch with themselves and deeply and what they really want to be doing. And then it's like that brings a lot of energy and passion into our life. And then often people want to look after themselves. So
okay, so it's really a holistic experience.
Yeah.
Macrobiotic health consultation.
yeah, really holistic, because all these things are very connected. That's the interesting thing about a macrobiotic or a holistic way of looking at ourselves. All these things are very connected. So we need to look at physical, energetic, emotional, mental, and our spiritual side.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And why do you think we generally need to move towards a more macrobiotic approach to health for us and for the planet for the future?
Yeah. Well, it's a really good way of promoting our health, having really good energy, having a clear mind, feeling lighter, calmer. Um, 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 I found it incredibly useful in my life for keeping myself well, um, and a few times getting some minor health problems, sorting them out myself. So it's very good for looking after our health. It's very good as the basis for our emotional health. Because if we have big imbalances in the body, then it tends to throw us around emotionally. We tend to feel more emotionally unstable.
Mm.
It's also great for developing our awareness or mindfulness. If we're eating these kind of in a more balanced, more calming way, we experience more balance. It's much easier to be quieter inside, and then we can be more mindful, more aware and conscious. So a lot of benefits for us. Also, I raised my children with macrobiotics. Of course, to start off with, they ate really well. Went to school, and the graduate sugar comes in, and this comes in, and that comes in. But they still eat pretty well. Not perfect, but pretty well, and experience pretty good health and really good, both very energetic.
Yeah.
In their 30s. So yeah, lots of personal benefits, and it just makes so much sense on a social level. We need much less healthcare. If you follow macrobiotics, we're learning how to look after our own health. We need much less healthcare. We're not taking so much from society in the sense of healthcare is expensive. If we need it, great, let's go for it. But if we need it much less, then we're not taking so much in that way. We tend to eat more locally grown foods rather than foods which have been shipped from the other side of the world or a big distance. So that's helping the environment. It's decreasing the amount of carbon produced. Eating plant-based really reduces the amount of carbon that's produced anyway, because producing animal foods and also processed foods. A lot of people in this country become vegan, but they're eating vegan bacon, vegan cheese, vegan burgers. These highly processed foods take a lot of energy to make them. Whereas if we eat grains, beans, vegetables, seeds, etc., it takes a bit of energy to grow them, but there's no energy being taken up in processing them. So it's a really environmentally friendly way. Also, just reading recently, I think, I can't quite remember exactly, but I think it's something like 50% of the land surface of the world is now used for growing food. And we keep pushing back the Amazonian rainforest, the Indonesian forests disappearing with all the birds and orangutans and wildlife to grow palm oil. We're just taking more and more land just to grow food. And actually, if we all became plant-based, we need much less land, and we could start rewilding big areas of the planet.
Yeah.
Which would just be fantastic. We've taken so much from the environment.
Yeah.
So, be great. Wouldn't that be great if we could rewild 10% of the world, 10% of the world's surface again? Really let wildlife
flourish.
thrive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of good reasons.
Yeah.
And
all coming from changing the way we eat.
Yeah.
So changing the way we eat is so powerful for us, and also for our environment and the planet.
Yeah, that's true. And so last question of all, what is your goal and mission moving forward now with the school, or maybe personally? I don't know if you want to share something.
Okay. Yeah, good question. Well, I think one personal goal is really enjoying my life the most I can. I really enjoy teaching and running school and work, but I have been a bit serious and a bit overworking in the past, and I'm really trying to create more balance. That's where I get pulled out of balance.
Yeah.
And I just, I've been, I had a partner who's really into holidays and being in nature more, and I love being in nature. So I'm really wanting to enjoy my life. I'm going to be 68 next month. I hope I've got another 25 years of active life. I really want to enjoy this time. Um, I want to do less of the things I don't enjoy, like office work. And I want to do more of the things I do enjoy, like teaching people and giving consultations. And I want to write some books.
Yeah.
Because I've been teaching for a long time now. I want to write some books.
Yeah.
And make a lot of videos and just get what I know out to a lot more people.
Okay. So on a bigger scale.
Yeah, yeah. And it feels like with YouTube and internet and that we can really reach a lot more people these days. And I have about 3 books I really, really want to write, but writing books is quite time consuming. So let's try to make time to do that.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for your time and for all the very useful information about macrobiotics.
Oh, that's a real pleasure, Lena. Thank you very much for asking me.
So I'll just stop the recording.
Yeah.